obviously Ghislaine and our family, and we're sure the National Association of Criminal Defence Lawyers are hoping that indeed a mistrial will be declared and a new trial ordered.
Hey everyone, it's Nadia L, and welcome back to my channel. So earlier today, I was at the hearing for Scotty David, also known as Juror 50. Now, Juror 50 was one of the 12 jurors who convicted Ghislaine Maxwell guilty on 5 out of 6 charges. So she was found guilty on the conspiracy and trafficking of a minor. So Juror 50 went public about being part of the Maxwell trial almost immediately after the verdict. He talked to several mainstream reporters about how he used his own past experience with sexual abuse as a way to persuade the other jurors into finding Maxwell guilty. Now, normally this wouldn't be a problem, except that it was then discovered that he had lied about his abuse on the questionnaire, which all of the jurors had to fill out during the screening process for this trial. Now, on that questionnaire, the jurors were asked 2 separate questions, and one was if they had ever been a victim of sexual abuse. The second was if they had a family member or a friend who had been sexually abused. Juror 50 answered no to both questions. Now, during one of his post-trial interviews with the Daily Mail, Juror 50 couldn't even remember being asked those questions. But the interviewer insisted that the questions were there, and Juror 50 maintained that despite his tainted memory, he had answered all of the questions truthfully. Well, quickly after that interview, it was discovered that he had indeed lied on that questionnaire. And Maxwell's defense team immediately filed for a mistrial. So after several weeks of investigating, the hearing over Juror 50's questionnaire was finally held today. Now, Juror 50 was initially going to plead the fifth, but Judge Nathan granted him immunity, allowing him to elaborate on what exactly happened without the possibility of him facing prosecution. So Juror 50 spoke for about 2 hours today, admitting to putting the wrong answer on his questionnaire. He also described his past experience with sexual abuse, which happened to him on multiple occasions when he was a child. He talked about the day he had to fill out the questionnaire, how he rushed through it, and he claimed he was feeling overwhelmed and distracted by the amount of people in the room, and how he sat in that room for hours with no phone, no book, or any kind of distraction. And instead, he was just thinking about his past breakup that he recently had. He thought the questionnaire was only asking about a family or a friend who had experienced sexual abuse. He didn't know that it was also in relation to him. And he went on to say that putting no was one of the biggest mistakes he had ever made in his life. Now, at first, listening to his testimony, I was actually convinced that he might have truly just made an honest mistake. That was until he said, "I don't think of myself as a victim. It doesn't define me." And he talked about how he would rarely talk about his past experience with anyone. And that's when Judge Nathan reminded him that he actually mentioned his past experience in every single interview he did after the trial. He also went on to say that although he didn't really know who Maxwell or Epstein were prior to the trial, he still thought that it would be much more interesting to be on this case than a boring one about fraud. Now, as for my own personal opinion, do I think Juror 50 just made an honest mistake? After today's hearing and what I saw, no, I don't think so. I didn't find his defense to be authentic, and I didn't find him to be very believable. But the question now is this enough for a mistrial? Is this enough to grant Maxwell a new trial in the future? The thing is, I don't see that happening either. And even if she was to get a new trial, she's already lost in the court of public opinion. You know, once you are perceived as being guilty by the public, it's almost impossible to get an impartial jury. It's also even harder to be perceived as innocent when victims have come forward with allegations of being abused and groomed by her, as well as trafficked. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think Juror 50 just made an honest mistake? Should Maxwell get a new trial? We don't know. Only time will tell. But let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Bye.